Hello and welcome to Delegation Skills for Managers. This is Paul Puckridge. Thank you for joining me today. If you have your workbook handy, maybe you'd like to turn to the area where we discuss delegating and we can go through these pages together. So what I'd like to do is to look at the delegation cycle, and the first part of the cycle is phase 1, which is what we call what can I delegate? So let me take you through each question one by one and hopefully share some thoughts and ideas with you. Maybe you could delegate something that will train each team member's skills and experience. So as you look at your work and look at what you do, ask yourself, could I delegate something that is going to train and extend each team member's skills and experience? Or I could delegate something that will increase the interest in their work. If you've got someone who's done something for quite some time, then maybe they're ready for a new experience. And by doing that, that's going to give them some new interest in their work. Hopefully, we're not egotistical managers that try and covet things for ourselves, but maybe you could delegate a task that you know someone else is better at doing than you are. It's quite okay that you're not the expert in everything. In fact, I think it's a very healthy attitude to have, to let your people know that you're not the expert at everything. There are some things you are just not good at, especially if other people are. Maybe it's a task that needs to be done, but you haven't got the time to do it. For example, the other day, we decided that rather than have one of our senior people go across the road and get the mail, we would delegate that to someone else. It has to be done, but all of our people, senior people, are very busy, and you might say, well, why is a senior person checking the mail? Well, there could be all sorts of reasons as to why that might happen. It might be that they go there every day anyway, but it just makes better sense to have someone else do that. Another reason is to never do a task that is not worth your hourly rate. In other words, someone else earns less than me. It would simply make economic sense to get that person to do the work. And probably the most important one of all is a task where you, as the leader, as the manager, are not adding any value. What value ultimately am I adding by checking the mail or ordering stationery? If I'm not adding value, then I really need to be looking at ways of delegating that. So phase 1, delegation. Phase 2 is who. Okay, I am thinking about what I could delegate. Now, who can I delegate to? Well, here are some suggestions. Maybe there's a team member in your team that is already able to do the work. They've done it before previously and you know they can do it. Or maybe it's a person in your team who's expressed an interest in learning the skill. Or maybe it's someone who needs to learn. In other words, as part of their job description, they have to do a certain task. Maybe there's a team member who could do the work without them becoming overwhelmed. Clearly, it's not in your interests to give people work, to delegate things, only to have them crack up because they're overstressed with extra work. Maybe there's a team member right now who is currently underutilized. Ever thought about that? Or a team member you're preparing for a promotion. That's always a good reason to train. And a team member who should be doing it but isn't. In other words, maybe some time ago they didn't do a good job, you took it back, and you haven't given it back to them again. So number 1, ask. Number 2, phase is who can I delegate to. The third phase, which is critically important and often one where I see many managers fail, is to prepare, discuss and teach. It's all very well saying I need you to do this for me, but we have to teach the new recruit or the team member how to do the job. So I'm going to run through a number of areas that you might want to consider when you're teaching someone the task that is going to be delegated. We're assuming that the person you're giving this task to has not done this before and you're teaching them for the first time. So the first consideration is background. and some history. Number 2, why are they being chosen to complete it? Now, you wouldn't say because there's nobody else. You wouldn't put a negative spin on this. You'd put a positive spin. Because this is part of your job description, because we're preparing you for promotion, because this is part of your job, whatever the reason is. Do they need to know how the task fits into the overall scheme of the organisation? Also, how long will this last for? Is this just for the next week, the next month, or is this now part of their job forever? When are they expected to start this? For example, as of Friday, you'll be doing this every Friday morning. Also, what will the outcome look like? Show them the end results. Now, it's interesting that in many restaurants, the head chef will take a photograph of a meal he or she has prepared, and they'll put the photograph up on the wall for the other cooks and chefs to emulate. In fact, even if you go to most fast food restaurants, you'll find pictures of hamburgers in the cooking area. Why? Because these restaurants care about where the pickle is placed, and where the mustard, and how much mustard or tomato sauce, or how many onions. I'd imagine that you could use lots of onions or a few or none. So therefore, as a manager, it's important that you show the person what you want. Give them a facsimile of the end result. Do they need to know how the task is going to be measured? For example, I'm going to manage you on how long it takes, or how much you spend, or how quickly you do it. Are there any special procedures that have to be followed? If so, do they have those procedures? What are the constraints? In other words, this must be done on a Friday morning. It can't be done any other day of the week. In doing this task, you have to do it in a certain process or procedure. For example, you have to use a special computer at work. You can't use your computer. You have to get permission to get a key to unlock a door. Explain to them what the constraints are, and of course you would want to have this written down somewhere already. What's their level of authority? How much time do they have? How much money can they spend? What specifications are you looking for? For example, if you're asking someone to order stationery, well, how much time should it take them once a month? An hour? How much money, what's their budget? They can spend $200 a month on stationery. And what are the specifications? You only want to order from a certain stationery catalogue. They can't just order from anywhere. How often do you want to be updated on the progress of the task? Every day? End of business? Once a week? Or will you manage by exception? In other words, you will only be informed if there is a problem. So therefore, if you don't hear back from your team member, you will assume everything is fine. If the person needs assistance, who will they see? Remember, it doesn't always have to be you. So, what can we delegate? Who can we delegate to? Prepare, discuss, and teach them how to do the job. And finally, do we need to monitor, offer feedback, and reward the employee? So a good question to ask yourself is, do I need to monitor this person for this job? Obviously, if they've done it before and they've shown you they can do it, you mightn't want to manage them every day. If you're going to monitor them, which method is best? For example, do you want an email at the end of the day? Do you want an Excel spreadsheet? Would you simply like a verbal update? For example, today I made 25 entries. Today I did X or Y. Is it online? Is it offline? Is it verbal? How do you want to be updated? Another important question to ask yourself is, how can I offer positive feedback to this person without them thinking I'm patronizing them? Do I simply just say, job well done? Do I take them out for coffee after they've done this a few times as a way of thanking them? Another good question to ask yourself is a reward appropriate? If someone has taken on a new job that perhaps they weren't expected to do or they weren't asked to do initially and they've done a great job, would some type of reward be appropriate? Now, many organisations, they have small reward boxes that managers can go to pull out a reward. For example, maybe a coffee voucher, a movie ticket. Perhaps you could give someone some time off, maybe half an hour or an hour early on Friday afternoon, which for some people could very much be a reward. So there we have it. You have the 4 cycles or the 4 steps in the delegation cycle. Now it's your job to take that information to go out and to delegate. Thanks for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this. I hope you're putting this into practice, and when you're ready, I look forward to sending you the next series of lessons.